Kristina, so great to have you here. We're just going to pick your brain until there's nothing left in there.
Fantastic.
So
Thanks
everything out of you. Okay, so before starting Kikki K,
Yep.
You have had the most eclectic, like reading about you, I was like, wow, what an eclectic amount of random jobs you did.
Yes.
Nanny in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Was it anyone famous?
No.
Working in the snow fields.
Yeah.
Selling Christmas books.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's go from doing that to now where you are. Has
Yeah.
been quite a long journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go back to the 3 a.m. list where it kind of all happened.
Yeah. So I worked in a ski resort in Austria, and that's where I met my partner Paul, and that's what made me move to Australia.
Right.
And when I came to Australia, it was before internet. It's kind of really hard. My son is like, "What do you mean before internet? Did that exist?"
Do we even remember that?
Yeah,
time?
exactly. It's crazy. So it was a big move because, you know, you couldn't FaceTime and you couldn't Skype. It was, you know, it's all very different. You know, faxes, what we
Or handwritten.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
which I love, of course.
I know, of course, yeah. But isn't it amazing how because Stacey moved away when she was 16 and we were best friends then,
Yeah.
and we would handwrite each other letters.
Yeah,
Or her
beautiful.
mum got the internet first, so I'd walk down to her house and email her from her mum's house.
And it was just the big chunky computers.
Yeah, so it's very
God,
different.
yeah.
Yeah. To stay in Australia was a big move in terms of, you know, the very long distance. So when I decided to stay, I thought I have to do something that I'm excited about. So I was searching for quite a lot of different things that I was going to do. So one of my first thing was, one of my passions was travel. So I then worked for free in a travel agency here, and just to see if that was for me. And I couldn't afford to do the course, so I asked, can I work for free until I give value? And then I worked there, and then I realized I love travel, but I don't like booking other people's travel.
Yeah.
So I continue my search, and then at 3 a.m. in the morning, I woke up my partner Paul, I think for the 5th time, saying, "What am I going to do with my life?" And he was patient, but he was a little bit sick of hearing that like every 5 minutes. So he turned on the light and said, "Why don't we write down what's important to you?" So at 3 a.m. in the morning, I wrote down that I wanted to drive to work every single day, and especially on a Monday morning, and absolutely love what I was doing. I wanted to have a business on my own, but I had no idea in what industry or what I was going to do. I wanted to have connection with Sweden. That was really important. My brother was sick at the time, so I had to go home a couple of times last minute, and so I thought I'm going to have to do something that brings me back home. I wanted to work with Swedish design. That was one of my passions. And then I worked out the phone bills and rent and food and travel was where my money went. So I worked out that if I can make $500 a week, then I can do what I want to do. So that was also on my list as well. And that was the hardest one to make a reality too.
After reading about that, and I often write down, you know, what I want to do, and I've started journaling, which I find really quite powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think there is really something in writing down your goals, so it's kind of almost makes it in a physical form.
Yeah.
Do you do that often? Do you still do that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'm really into dreaming. I've just written a book about dreaming, which I can't wait to share with the world. But really taking the time to think about your dreams and your goals and what you want to do, because one of the things is that I realized, and we all do at some stage in life, is that even if you get to live a long life is pretty short. So you need to start writing them down to remember them, and then focus on a few things that you want to do. You can't do you can do anything but not everything at the same time. So, you know, writing all your dreams down is really important.
Because you said, okay, I'm going to work for myself. So you went to set up your home office.
Yep.
And this is kind of where the idea came to you, right?
Yeah.
When you saw there's a huge gap in the market here.
Yeah. So it was basically, you know, I went back after 3 a.m. sleep, and then in the morning I looked at this piece of paper, which wasn't on a good quality paper, I have to say that. It wasn't a Kikki K paper. But I looked at that, and I looked at where should I start on, you know, the 5 things that I had. And I thought, if I'm going to work from home, I have to have a beautiful home office. So I'm a person who loves beautiful things, and I love being organized. And then I thought, if I'm going to have a beautiful home office or a business, I need to have a beautiful, organizational, piece in front of me. And I went out to buy some products, and this is before, I mean, there's so much around now, but this is before all the brands existed. So it was basically, the news agents and the department stores basically, and the big box retailers, which is boring. And I went to buy some products, and I just could not find anything. It was, in my view, which of course is debatable, but for me, it was badly designed and bad quality. And price driven. So I thought, so I actually, it's not the right word, depressed, but I kind of got really down thinking this is so boring. Then I got super excited. So I rushed home to Paul and I said, I know exactly what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to open beautiful Swedish design stores around the world. And he's in my favorite cities, so I was, London, Paris, New York, Copenhagen, Stockholm, etc. And he's like, are you crazy? Of course, because I had no idea even how to put together a notebook. So that was a big, big dream. And, I'm still not in the favorite cities, but we are in 5 countries now, which is pretty exciting.
Wow. Yeah, it's because everywhere, I feel like every main street I go to, every airport I go to, all of your stuff is there. It's pretty awesome though to go, you had no idea.
Yeah.
How do you start? Like, where do you start from?
Just start.
Just start.
Yeah, I think that's the most important message when you're starting something. Just start. You have to start somewhere. But for me, that was like, I did the old yellow pages when it was book form, paper form, S for stationery, and I just started from the top, went through them all, and then just started to visit stationery businesses, manufacturers, paper companies, and I was so excited, but I had no idea how to do things. So I just learned, and I listened, and I asked a lot of questions, and then I started to build it that way.
Did you source out mentors?
Yes,
like,
lots.
Okay, who knows?
Yeah, lots. So I'm a big reader, so I read lots of books, and then I go and see speakers, and I saw people, because I didn't have any money, so I had to go and watch people raising capital. I had never been in retail, I had no idea about anything. Yeah. So I went to see a lot of people, and then I asked them for coffees, and there was one woman who was talking about capital raising, so I asked her, can I show you my business plan? Can I have a coffee? And I think I was there the day after with my plan, and bought her coffees, and she became a mentor. And I had lots of different mentors. I find mentors is similar to friends. You don't get everything out of one friend. Mentors is the same. So I go specific different things that I wanted to know. So if it's a retailer or a financial person or whatever it is. So I learned from a lot of different people. But you can also learn a lot from, especially today, like on the internet, online courses. There's so many ways of learning today if you want to do something.
Yeah, and it's just like, just do it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing different between you and somebody else who has that dream.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's true. What, with starting Show and Tell too, like I still barely even know how to turn on a computer. We're very much go, okay, let's do this, and just give it a crack. And some of it fails and some of it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so many of us look at people and think, oh, well, she's talented or she's good at that. But when you actually start to meet people and ask people, they're just like us, they just started somewhere, and you just have to build on the building blocks wherever you are. Yeah. And I think that's another really important thing for people who are thinking about starting or doing something that is a little bit different, to kind of know that person who did it is, there's so many people before us who've done what exactly, or not exactly, but very similar to what we've done.
Yeah, you can draw off. Yeah. No pressure when you first opened your shop though. Didn't you make your husband sell his house?
There's always been a lot of pressure. The last, 20 plus years has been a lot of pressure. But yes, I wouldn't say make him, convince him.
Yeah. Manipulate, massage it.
Into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he. I probably for 2 years I looked at finance. I couldn't even get a credit card because I was an Australian citizen. So for me it was really difficult. The bank just laughed at me. In the end I was like, how am I going to open the first store? Because I started wholesale, and I built a website when that started to happen, and I just didn't know how I was going to finance it. And obviously retail is expensive to do. So I said, how about that house?
Right.
And that was a scary moment because this is when 9/11 just happened. So that was obviously a very scary time for all of us, what was going to happen in the world. And, the department store where we were opening just went out of business. So it was kind of a really, retail has always been tough for a lot of people, and is still very tough today. So it was, I don't think that's a bad time. Like if you open in the tough times, you make it work, and then if there's some good years, then you float on that, and then it's tough times. That's just kind of how the life cycle is.
How did you know when it was a good time to open a store though? Like how do you know you have enough products and
research? How do you know
but I actually didn't have enough products because I borrowed $3,000 from Paul to do my first range, and I couldn't really make 100% Kikki K. So I started, I think maybe 40% Kikki K, and then I bought in other brands to start with, because I just didn't have the finances to do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so you just figure out
a way of doing it.
Yeah,
you're pretty crafty. You work because you would pound the pavement too, right? And get people here. What do you think of this?
Absolutely. Yeah. I did a lot of what I call focus groups, but it basically was like selling at home. In an environment like this, where I got my friends to bring in 10 friends, and then I was showing and asking what they thought, and then I could buy to kind of really understand, because everyone was so positive in the beginning, and they said, I'll pay $20 for this, so I'll pay 10, and that's easy to say, but actually to give me the money is a different thing. So I started to sell, direct selling, to kind of get the understanding if people were actually going to buy, and I think I did about 40 of those.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you did quite a lot of research before you actually opened up the store.
Loads. Yeah. I stood on the corner of Chapel Street, and I couldn't do this now, but I did. Yeah, I did. I did research because I didn't know anything about Melbourne. Now it's so everything is, you can use Google, but that didn't exist. So I was like, someone spoke about Shads, and someone spoke about City. There was Chapel Street, and I had no idea. So I just asked people where they thought I should open the first store, and I stood there with my plans. It's ridiculous, but that's what I did. And sometimes you just have to do things that you. Is out of your comfort zone, and do think creatively, and I think it's amazing not to have a lot of money when you start up, because you just think differently.
Well, that you can take more risks.
Yeah,
really.
absolutely. You had nothing to lose.
Yeah, where I guess now that your business has grown so much, you kind of can't take the risks that you would have
not
at the
the same,
start.
because you're supporting so many people.
Yeah.
While before I was happy to take an extra shift in the morning at a breakfast hotel or whatever I needed to do to kind of support myself. But now it's very different, of course. But still,
Pretty
you can
incredible
try
too.
a few little things. Yeah.
In terms of the creative side, you kind of you are very hands-on, but you bang out so many products. Like Stacey was saying
I talk about this all the time because I'm a real stationary person, and I always kept in the back of my mind every time I went into a Kikki K, people telling me that you get new products every 3 weeks, which for a consumer is like me, it's very exciting, because every time you walk in there, you know you're going to see something new, and you're like, oh,
I know.
how on earth do you get every 3 weeks get new products on the shelf? Like, that's just...
Yeah, so we work all year, obviously. We have a creative team who designs products all the time. But, that's not the problem in terms of the ideas. The problem is to choosing the right ones and making sure that you're doing new things, but still not doing too many things that people are not ready for. So that's the ideas is never the problem. It's always which one should we choose? And the designers are talented, so it's always a real tough decision. What should we go with? Because that's beautiful, that's beautiful, that's beautiful. Yeah. And then we run it as a fashion business, so we do the seasons with different, and then we have consumers in mind, so we're making sure that we have something for you and something for you, and for the younger, and the person who wants to evolve as a person, the inspiration range. And then we have dated, and then we follow all the occasions like Valentine's, Mother's Day, Easter, all those. So yeah, we're busy, but that's what I love. That's not the problem. There's a lot of other issues that are much harder than that.
Running your own business, what do you find what has kind of been the hardest point of running the business so far?
I think the hardest in the beginning was to have no idea what I was doing, because and the opportunities was just everywhere, and even more now I find, because you can collaborate. Never know how to say that word. With so many different people across the globe. While 20 years ago that was not as easy as it is today. So I find the hardest thing is to of all the ideas that we have, what do we actually focus on to make sure that we do something really good versus just doing loads of half good things. Right. So that's very challenging. But in the beginning, it was definitely business knowledge. I had no idea. I mean, even to do, I bought QuickBooks. I had no idea how to put it together. And I remember, paying $200 for someone to teach me. And when she walked out, I was like, oh, I wish I spent that $200 on that dress that I saw instead. Because I had no idea. And but I learned it. And then I started to delegate the things that wasn't my strength and what I didn't enjoy. So there was loads and loads of, but I also, when I say that was the hardest, but it was also super exciting. I love learning, and I love connecting with people. So if I don't know anything, I never think how, I think who. So who can help me with this? And I still do that because there's so much I still don't know, obviously. There's always new challenges. And I always think who, I was thinking the other day, because one of my dreams is to make the book that I've done a bestseller. So I was thinking, who has done a bestseller? So I started to reach out to people who made a bestseller to learn how they did it. So there's always something to learn. Yeah. Which is exciting.
What was it like when you made that first $500 that was on your 3 a.m. list?
It's one of those things where when you start making a little bit of money, you're just so busy thinking. I remember wanting to join a entrepreneurs group where the turnover was $1 million, and I read about it when we turned over, a few thousand. Right. So that was a big goal. And I remember when we turned over our first million, I think Paul said it in the middle of the night. I think we just turned over $1 million, and I was like, I'm just so tired, I can't even think. So it was like we just worked 24/7 in the first. I mean, we still work a lot, but not as much as we used to. But so I was never focused, except I was like the milestones of being, it wasn't about the money, it was about joining EO, which is the Entrepreneurs Organization.
Right.
So I've never been driven. I wanted to make the $500 so I can eat, I can live, and I can travel to Sweden. So money has never really driven me in terms of making more money. I always wanted to, obviously make enough so I can pay everyone. And in the early days, that was not the case. So I always had to go through who should we pay first of our employees, who lives at home versus having their own mortgage. I looked at all those things too. Wow. Yeah, it was just it's really hard in the beginning.
That's so cool though, isn't it? Where you go, I just wanted $500.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the night, we just turned our first meal.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing is, it also happens so gradually as well.
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
like one morning you wake up and we're like, oh my God.
No, and I think I always compare it as having a baby, because you don't get a teenager straight away. You get this bundle and you try to work that out, and then it's all evolving, and then you get into it, and you get, other parents helping you or giving advice or whatever. So it's the same with the business. So you start somewhere and then you evolve, and then there's just different. There's always challenges. It's never like, oh, I arrived and it's done.
Yeah.
There's new times, new competitors, whatever it is. There's always something that keeps you going to the next level. So but I love that, and it's like having a child. Like every stage is amazing, and you think you can't get better than this, but it always does. So. Yeah,
well, you have 2 kids now, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
Did it change your perspective?
Absolutely, yeah. So grateful that I had kids, because it kind of got me understanding more of that working life balance, and also forced me to really think about that work-life balance. With the birth came, something that I didn't expect, like that. I was thinking, that will be almost like another business, but there's much more emotion with kids in terms of you can't leave them the way I thought maybe I could, and that's why I bring them on trips now. And I find it really difficult to go away without one child, so I often bring a child with me on my business trip. So they've kind of grown up in this business environment, and they think they can do anything in the world, which is so amazing.
Isn't that so great? I often say to Stace, when, and as mums, we're constantly, you're torn where you feel a bit guilty if you're away from them longer than you want to be. I said, our kids are actually growing up watching us kick ass and do what we want.
Absolutely.
And I think that, and I grew up with my mum doing that.
Yeah.
And I go, why can't we do it? Let's just do it.
Absolutely.
And to give that to our kids.
Yeah, amazing gift.
And if we can't help out and do, you know, go to all the excursions with them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's not, because I vividly remember Mum was a single mum and she would work so much, but in my mind she was never not there.
Yeah, no.
And I hope my boys are like that, even though I work quite hard and I'm not able to go to everything. I hope that they don't remember me not being there. I hope they go, yeah, Mum was working doing this, but she came to this excursion.
Yeah,
or she did
exactly.
that,
And I think you just have to decide what you are fine with, and doesn't mean like you have to do every single thing. You know, there's a lot of socializing around school. I don't really have time for that, but I make sure if I'm in town, I'll go to assembly every Friday, for example. That's one thing that I do and I love. And, you know, if I can pick them up, I always try to do that. So you just have to choose the things that is important to you, and then, you know, talk about all the stuff that, you know, the way I talk about it is like the reason why we can do all this is because we work so hard. So and they're so aware, and we always bring it back to be grateful to what we have. So I think that's also a really good thing.
Which is so hard.
Yeah.
I've noticed my son lately, he'll lose something. He goes, "That's okay, we can get a new one."
Yeah.
Same.
And I'm like, "No, mate, it doesn't work like that.
No.
You just." They're so lucky, you know, and they're so privileged. But he's only 6, so he's like, "We're just getting more," and I'm like, trying to talk to a kid about money at that age where it's like, no, mate.
Yeah.
No.
But I think it'll sink in eventually. And if you we do a grateful every night at dinner. And so since they were like being able to talk, they have been talking about gratefuls every single night at dinner. And that makes such a difference because, and also they know if you are giving examples every night at dinner, then that will sink in. And that will, even if a 6-year-old might not be able to express it.
But he'd be grateful for the lollies that he had that day.
And that's fine, that's fine. That's their reality. But eventually I feel like a lot of things that I've said in the past is now coming out. And you don't think that, but once they turn older, it's like, yeah, it's good. You can see it.
It's also, when I fell pregnant, I thought my career was over.
Yeah.
I felt like I wasn't established enough in what I was doing, which it was radio.
Yeah.
And I remember going, shit, it's all over. I'm out of the game.
Yeah.
And it's just so far from the actual truth of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've still got so far to go when it comes to supporting women who are having babies, which actually is interesting. How do you handle that in your company?
So we do like what most what we have to do in terms of the 12 months giving maternity leave that you have to do.
Holding the position for them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
yeah. And then we do things, because we're a small business and we don't have the financial background in terms of giving them, you know, in Sweden you get paid, but that's government funded. So that will be a dream to one day be able to do, but we can't do that yet. But we give like newborns for nappies for newborn, not the other way around. Right. But, you know, trying to support things like that. And obviously we are a business where kids are welcome anytime. So my kids grown up in the business, they know everyone, and people can bring in their kids, you know, if they pick up from school and then they have to come back and do a couple of things. We're very flexible. And I always try to remind everyone to not miss those little milestones, like with the kids, like, you know, don't miss the assembly when they're talking, or the ballet concert and things just because of work, because work will always be there. It's just being flexible. So we try to be very flexible, because most of our employees are women, so we're trying to do that. Yeah.
They also will want to work harder for you. When
absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when bosses are so strict or it's like you're so uninvested.
Yeah.
Where if you just give an inch, they'll give you back a mile.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
We are chatting to incredible women like yourself and so many different amazing women, and it is about, you know, the changes that women have made in their lives or the world around them. And your one, which is super inspiring, is basically going from an employee to a boss, an incredible female boss. Have you got any tips or any little tidbits of advice for women who are out there just sitting on possibly an idea or no idea at all, how they make that change as well?
Yeah, there's 3 things that I always reflect back on in terms of what I think made me do what I do now. And one is number one was or is passion. So I really think you have to love what you do in terms of starting your own. But it doesn't mean you have to start your own, but it's also, I think, if you want to live a really authentic and great life, I think it doesn't matter if you're employed or have a little side business or start your own business. But I think really love what you do. So you drive on Monday morning being really excited. And of course, in every, if you start your business or have your perfect role, there is always ups and downs. So I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking like generally loving what you're doing and, doing something that you want to do every single day. So passion is number one. Number two is having quite a clear vision. So if that's for your business, where you're going, because I especially think in this day and age, it's so easy to be sidetracked and it's so easy to forget where you're going, and especially when it's tough. And I have never seen a business go straight like that. It's always like loads and loads of side curves.
Yeah, the jungle gym.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So having a vision, so when there are tough times, that pull you forward. So having a clear vision, it doesn't mean that can't change, but in terms of, your long-term vision, what is that? So everyone, you included yourself, where are we heading? So when it's tough or when it's, not so fun, this is where we're going. So everyone is kind of part of that. And number three is not to take no for an answer, or don't say no, say how. And we have that big letters on our office wall, and I really do think that made a massive difference when you start a business. And for me, that was like everything, and I still use it every single day. I never take no for an answer, and it doesn't mean that I say yes to everything, of course, and it doesn't mean that I'm just thinking about it's all about me. It's always about a win-win. So you always look about, if you want to achieve something, how can I achieve it, and how can I bring people on to make sure it's a win-win. And that's anything from, I often take an example as when I was opening the first store in Sydney, the courier said, well, it's Friday night. If I'm not in Sydney by 9 o'clock, I'm finishing. I'm like, no, you don't understand. We're opening on Saturday morning and we're paying rent for that. So I took his number. I took his home number, his mobile number, his private number. I had everything to make, and I call him all the time. Where are you? Making sure he made it. So, and of course, then I said, hey, if you can be a bit flexible, then of course we will use your company for a long time. So there's always a win-win, and I do that in my private life as well. If I can't get an appointment, I always say, can I be on the wait list? And if there's no wait list, I always say, can you create a wait list? And there's always a way. And I think that there's so many small businesses that fail the first few years, and I think if you use that, if you really want to make something happen, work out how you can do it. I think that is the third.
Do you find that being a woman and being really strong and knowing what you want and going for it, have you come up against anything where you have felt discrimination because you are a female?
I've never felt that, and I don't know if it's my upbringing where I felt I'm equal, and I never ever thought any different. So I never think about gender. I always think about getting the job done. If it's a male, female, doesn't matter. So I never had that issue, but I know it's out there. So I'm not naive to that. But for me, I never had that issue ever, and it's always been getting the job done, and whatever it is, if it's a position at work, I don't really care if it's female or male, as long as it's the right person for the right job.
You beauty.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
There really is something about stationery, though, isn't there?
Something.
Really
oh, here we go.
Stationery. I've tried over the years, because my mum's the same.
Yeah.
It's like really into stationery. Like we always buy each other new books and pens.
Yeah.
I do like stationery, but this is like her obsession is like next level.
But I think it might be a control thing, like the level of organisation you can have with all the things in particular that you guys offer. There's something about it that gives you the illusion in your life that it's together.
I mean, our purpose at Kikki K is to inspire and empower people to live their best life. So whatever that means to them, it could be organisation. But also, I remember going back to school and a new notebook and a new sharpened pencil and a new eraser just made me feel like now it's like the promise of a new year. So there's something about that. But then there's also, of course, the to-do list, the calendars are things that make you feel in control. And then there's also the products that I love the most is all the products have something behind them. So there's always a meaning. behind our products that we do, and that's what I love. So that could be like, a teacup, because I started with like the stationery, and then I was like, I drink tea every morning when I do my planning, and I was like, I want beautiful matching, tea set, and then of course not the teacup, but the teapot, because I like loose tea, so I like to make it nice. And being a Swedish person, I burn candles 24/7. So I was like, I want beautiful candles. So that kind of evolved. So even if it, sometimes on a shelf just looks like a teacup, but it's a meaning behind it. You sit down and if it's about being grateful, or if it's about planning your day, there's a beautiful moment. And I think we rush so much in our lives that to take those 2 minutes when you're planning the day or being grateful at night or whatever it is, to make that like really count. And that's why I think our products are really, I can understand you feeling the way you're feeling about it, because we have those people in every single day, and I'm obviously one of them. So I can, but I'm very grateful too that you are supporting us. So thank you.
Yeah, she very much is. Easy to buy birthday presents for. I tell you what.
So
Kristina, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on
you.
the Change Up. We've been wrapped.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me, and good luck in your path.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.